Hello, hello, hello. Looks like we've got a couple of you guys in, so thank you so much for dropping in. Sorry, I am a couple of minutes late. We are going to be playing with the I Choose You clear stamp set from Concord 9. I know, every week I tell you I've got a bunch of stuff that I keep on I keep on going through my stash, finding more stuff that I haven't played with, so I have to play. Anyway, I did at one point stamp it out, and it's pretty easy for layering, but I thought I'd try something a little bit different, so we will see how that works and whether or not I want to... We'll see if it works, and go from there. So anyway, I'm going to start off just a piece of cardstock, and I forgot to get out my stamp platform, so I'm going to use that to try to make sure that everything lines up just perfect. And then I'm going to be using my Catherine Pooler inks for most of my stamping. So, you guys having a great afternoon? I see Miss Elizabeth's here. Susie Fick from Illinois is here. We've also got TR and Karen. So welcome. Whenever anybody new comes in, go ahead and say hello and let us know where you are watching from. And I had put some some washi tape down on my sticky mat earlier because I was working on another card, and I wanted to make sure that if I had to restamp, I had it in exactly the right place. Because although this one is a sticky mat, this is not the one that has my lines drawn on it. Okay, so what we're gonna do first, here are all the images that are on this set. So I figure first off I'm gonna go with the general outline stamp, and I probably am going to be cutting this out, so I'm really not as concerned as to whether or not it is straight, although it looks like it's pretty straight this time for a change. And I'm gonna go with one of my black inks, and since I'm not going to be coloring, it doesn't matter if I use one that is good for alcohol marker coloring. So first I want to also make sure that it's lined up correctly, because that part of the stamp is so thin, I don't know if it's going to be actually completely straight. And I want it to be straight kind of for being able to cut it out. And that, of course, is too close to the edge. I don't want it to be there. So here's about the middle. I'll put it there. Don't you love it that I keep changing my mind? Okay. A little too high. Looks about right height-wise. Let me bring it over 1/2 inch. Change that to 1/4 and then go down 1. Okay, I'm gonna say that is good enough. And I'll just use some of my Hero Arts dye ink. I do have a couple of different black inks. I tend to go back to the Memento a lot because I know that it works well with alcohol marker colors, and while I'm thinking about it, I want to double check and make sure you guys can hear me. My computer says that I've got the volume on, but I also recorded half of a video earlier today where I didn't have the audio on. And I think I'm going to go over it one more time. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different. You know, I have been kind of enthralled, I guess, with foil, as are pretty much everybody in this group is also enthralled with foil. So I am going to try doing foil with stamping. I know that it doesn't always work, but I did do a test earlier and it looked like it worked, at least for me this time. I think I've got a couple of ideas that I'm going to probably try out, but I'm not 100% sure. Next, I'm going to stamp this piece, and I'm going to stamp it in red. And since Catherine Pooler ink does stay wet a little bit, not very long, but it does stay wet a little bit, I'm hoping that this is going to make, if the foiling doesn't go all the way through, that we're able to still see that pretty red color. So I'm going to line up the little top right there, and then got the rest of it. This is basically going to just color everything in for us. And I am using wow embossing powder for this, so it should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead with the Rockin' Red. So Karen really likes her, wishes that she knew that there was a Gumball stamp set when she made cards for her niece and nephew's birthday invitations. Okay, I'm hoping I'm going to be putting enough of this down and it's where it needs to be. Pretty much where it needs to be, so that's good. Let me put some more of the ink down because it didn't really cover everything that I needed. Do one more coat, especially on that inner side that didn't get it really well. Okay, that does look pretty good. And I think I'm going to just be on the safe side. I'm going to go ahead and put down some embossing ink as well. And I'm going to be heat embossing this. So, as usual, I have too much stuff on my desk, so I'm having trouble finding what I'm looking for. And I just had it out like 10 minutes ago. You guys need to tell those gremlins to leave me alone. The heck did I put? There it is. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put down some wow embossing ink. And I am going to adjust the lighting in just a second as well, because this is a little bit dark. Okay, that looks a little better. Okay. I'm going to go over it one more time. I'm wanting this to work the first time around, so that's why I keep on going back over and over and over it. Okay. And it is the Wild Clear Gloss Embossing Powder. noticed that there's part of it that it didn't stick. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this up. There it is. I can't find a darn thing on my desk. I've got way too much stuff over here. You guys have you guys had days like that? Okay. Also got a bit of embossing powder where I don't want it. And for what I plan on doing, that would not be good. Okay, hopefully that should do it. Okay, Cordelia, you get the same thing from your husband that I get from mine. I will be doing something over here with my headphones on, and he will walk up. Sometimes he just leans over my shoulder. Sometimes he just laughs, and if he laughs, I'm saying I know he wants me to see something that he's laughing at. Okay, so we got embossing covered most of it, but you can see there's this one area over here that didn't get the shine, so I need to add some more ink down to that. And trying to ink with that is not going to work, I don't think, so I'm going to use a Fantastics and some clear embossing ink. And just try to put it on there manually so that, and hopefully it will go where I need it. Okay, that's not coming out quite enough yet. It's wet. Okay. So I'm basically just going to be drawing on here with some of this embossing ink. Another thing that you can use that may work if you have the same kind of idea that you want to do is I hate it when I forget words. I've got a picture of the bottle that I've got on a shelf that took me a long time to find in my head, and of course I can't remember what it is. Okay, I got a little bit more that I think I need to get right up in here. And then we will give that a try. Now, if I remembered exactly where I had it stamped, that would be even better, but I don't. Okay, looks like I got it. That is good. You can see the powder in that area that didn't have any embossing on it. So, okay, and there's a little bit that I want to still get added, and I know I'm being very particular with this, but you will see why in a couple of minutes. Assuming that this works the way I want it to. Okay. Okay, so I've got a little more embossing powder right there where it didn't hit the first time around. Okay. So I'm going to say that that is good enough. Let me clean up my embossing powder. And get that out of the way before I knock it over. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm getting into my scrap bin of hot foil. You remember I used a lot of this last week. So what I'm going to do, I only need a little bit up at the top. For between Versamark and Wow Embossing ink, I think it really depends on how much you work with it. I have had trouble with, that's not big enough. I have had trouble with the Versamark, but I think that's probably where I didn't use it for too long and it dried out, and then I never did figure out how exactly to get it to work correctly. Okay, so the red that we used last week was actually kind of pinkish, but that's okay in my mind. Let's see if I've got some more in here. I got too much stuff in this thing. I can, of course, go ahead and pull out, I think I'm just going to pull out a regular roll because I don't have a piece that's going to cover that. So give me just a second. Okay, and yes, I do know that this is hot foil. Actually, yeah, I'm going to use the hot foil. Because I haven't had real good luck with trying to run it through my laminator, which is fine. I think that's going to be perfect for this. It comes to trying to use up the scraps. I'm still learning how to do that well. Oh, and by the way, I did get that new platform for my Gemini, and I've tried it out, and so far it's worked perfect. Okay, so I've already heated up my Cronova laminator, and I'm going to go ahead and run this through. And I'm hoping it does what my test run did earlier. But I still have my Versamark. I went ahead and bought the Wow embossing pad, and it seems to have worked better. I don't know how often you're supposed to re-ink it, which is probably the reason I've had, a couple of little issues with it. I mean, I've had stuff that didn't want to emboss, but I'll be honest with you, lately, for the past 6 months or so, I think it's been working a lot better for me. Okay, let me take a look. That looks like it's probably good. I can see the imprint of where the ink was. There, now you can see it. So let that cool down a little bit. And I've got a lot of overfoiling. And the reason for that, I think, is because I'm using hot foil for this. However, earlier today, I did one with hot foil. It was just one stamp. I did one with hot foil, and then I did one with a scrap of laminator foil, and the laminator foil did not work as well. So that means I'm going to start over. And this time, I'm going to pull out my laminator foil instead. But again, I'm going to go ahead and still use what I've got from Blue Bonnet. I do like her foils. Okay, taking this out again. And the reason I flipped my lid, the reason I flipped the cover is so that this would not stick to my mat. I didn't really want it to stick down there. Okay, so that's going to be fine. This time I think I'm going to do the red first. Mostly because the stamp was still in the platform. I think I've got a bubble underneath this guy. I think that's the reason that it's not wanting to ink all the way. And I'm dabbing when I'm cleaning my stamps right now. I'm just dabbing most of the ink off because I don't want the stamps to slide around. I've had that happen a few too many times. And this I did not get enough of the embossing ink again. That looks a little better. Let me put one more coat over the whole thing. Hi, Miss Gayla. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's see if I can get it to work right this time. It looks like it's pretty well covered. That side too. Awesome. So before I attempt to do the foil again, I'm going to go ahead and stamp that black outline again. The reason I started with the color part is because those stamps were still in the platform. And to be honest, when you're doing when you are doing layered stamping, it's usually easier to line up over the color portion anyway. But in this case, we've got pieces that are not combined, or not joined, so kind of have to work with it. Okay, so we will go again with that Hero Hues black ink from Hero Arts. I just hope the foiling works the way I intend it to this time. It should. That looks cute. Okay, it's a little crooked, but that's all right. It's close enough for government work, right? So now I'm going to take some of my Bluebonnet laminator foil and cut a couple of pieces to fit over my red pieces on my little gumball machine. That fits fine. Okay, so that is going to work out fine for that. And a lot of times when you try to foil with embossing, it doesn't work out exactly like you want. You don't always get as crisp of an image as you want it to be. It's not like foiling with toner paper. Let's see how this does though. I mean, when I first got this laminator, I did do a video doing a lot of trial and error, you know, just to kind of give a little bit of a review of it. And same thing when I got the Bluebonnet foils. And I think it was during the Bluebonnet foil one that I did these cute little hummingbirds, but it was just the hummingbird outline. And it worked fine with the machine. It's just hard to see it because the lines were so small. So this is really the first time I'm trying it with a larger stamped image. So wish me luck. Hopefully it'll work this time. If it doesn't work this time, we're gonna not do anything with the... Okay, the difference, TR, is the last time I was using hot foil. This time I'm using laminator foil, both from Bluebonnet, but you see on the packaging it says this is laminator foil. The other packaging says, oops, just turned on my embossing tool. This one says hot foil. Yes, it says foil quill hot stamping gel. So this one is for laminator, this one is for hot foil, and the way you can tell the difference on these from the company, at least when I got them a year ago, was this one has like a paper core, and this one's got a cardboard core. I think that's to help them know which is which in their systems. So let's see how this one turns out. So I think you guys can probably see what I was envisioning. It's basically that shiny red gumball machine that we all remember from when we were kids. So that was what my thought was on that. The rest of it, I think I'm going to just do regular stamping, although I was considering trying to do, I think I might still do it. What do you guys think? I'm thinking about maybe doing the color piece. Let me see what that stamp looks like. I was thinking about doing the color piece in silver foil. However, if it doesn't have the lines well enough, now I don't know where I put my stamps. Here's the dies. Here's one of the stamps. Here's another of the stamps. I just have them. Okay, so this one here is the piece. So it does have a little bit of space there. I don't know if it would have enough definition for the line to go through. I don't think it would. See, on this one, there is still that a little line there too for when you're stamping. However, you can't see the line here. So if I went back over that with some silver foil, like I thought I would do, it probably won't work. But I think that is going to look cute. Let me get back out my stamp platform. And I'm putting the laminator away because that's part of the problem. It's taking up part of the space that I need on my desk. Okay, so now I've got a little bit more space available. Okay. So next we're going to have this little piece here. Goes there. And then where did I put the 5-cent piece? Oh, here we go. And line that up. Okay, so for those little pieces, don't think I've got any silver ink, but I do have some Memento London Fog. That's nice gray. And that can look like metal. And of course now it doesn't, now I'm out of focus because my head was in the way. Okay, let me reset the camera just a sec. Okay, now you can see again. And part of this didn't cover, so go back down with the ink. I think it's the cover of my platform. There's one spot that just does not want to put down any ink. Okay, I'm gonna say that it's still not good enough. I was gonna say it's good enough, but that is just not, it's not happening. This platform, TR, you're asking if I have some foam. First, it has foam underneath it already. Then I've got my glass media mat that is not down on the surface of my table. It actually has some rubber bumpers underneath it, so it moves slightly as well. And then I've got this, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I've got this underneath, which has also got a little bit of give. So the combination should work fine, but it's just this one little area. So I think I need to be stamping probably in the middle of my platform instead. But that, I'm going to say, is going to be good enough. I am not going to take all night to do one card, you know? Okay, so the next part that we're going to need to do is some die cutting. So on this panel, I need to die cut out the place for the gumball. And it's basically, I'm sorry, not the gumball, for the actually, that's not the case. I know what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to use some pattern paper for this. Now I'm debating whether or not this would be too busy with my little gumball. That one would be. I think I like the rainbow stripes. So I'm going to cut this one down to about the size of an A2 card. So we're going to go 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'll probably trim it down some more anyway, but and then I'm going to cut this out. And I'm just going to double check. I believe the way this works, yes, the bottom is the part that's going to be the wider part of that. Okay, so I will just run that through my Gemini Junior. And actually, I need a piece of cardstock as well because this paper is way too thin. And it didn't want to cut through all the way this time. Could be the dime, and I just haven't used it in a bit. I'm also using one of my slightly warped plates. Okay. Little bit of washi. Yeah, TR, I've tried that too, and it just hasn't worked. But then again, there is a place on here. I don't use the magnets most of the time because the magnets, pretty much the magnets have actually, because I pressed too hard, I think, once upon a time. Looks like it has damaged the lid a little bit. Damaged the top part of the platform. Come on, go in there. What I'm trying to do is line it up exactly with the hole I've already cut, so that when I cut the other, it will be perfect. I also don't want my washi tape to rip my paper. Just rubbing that on my leg a little bit to take off some of the stick. Okay, let's give that a try. I love that the foiling worked out well. Hey, that is just too pretty. Okay. To be very, very careful with this washi tape. I do not want it to rip anything. Okay. So this is going to be basically the hole for our shaker, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out these pieces, and those are going to get layered on top. And I really have too much crap on my desk, in my desk, around my desk. So now I'm just knocking everything on the floor. You guys aren't really all that talkative tonight, but then again, neither am I. I am so sorry about that. It's just been one of those days. Been trying to focus because I've got a video and blog post that is due on Thursday, and I just finished putting one up for Saturday. So we've got the design team for Dies Are Us, and I'm doing a double slider surprise from Lawn Fawn. I'm using that die. Another one of those that have been sitting in my stash forever. For that one. And then the design team thing and hop on Saturday is of course with with tailor-made cards for you, because you guys know I do that every month. Let me get these stamps out of the way so I don't lose anything. And one thing that I had planned that isn't working out was I was going to try using Shrinky Dinks to make the shaker bits, but I tried die cutting some of those out and they just didn't want to cut all the way through. So I mean, I ran it through twice and it didn't want to work, so not going to do that. Instead I will use some seed beads or something. So I'm going to go ahead and start adhering these pieces together. Just getting out my dot liner adhesive. And again, I'm probably going to be trimming this down anyway. Okay, I need to line up my circle. And of course I've got it crooked. That has definitely been me all day today. Actually, it was worse yesterday. I recorded the video I'm editing today. I recorded that yesterday and messed up so many times I re-recorded part of it today. Just because I haven't done a lot of the interactive cards. So, although those are always super fun, they do take a little more labor and sometimes they're a little harder to get done. Okay, so it looks like I probably had something crooked when I did the cutting through the through my die cutting machine. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down a little bit because we've got this overhang in a couple of places and I don't want that. And from here I can kind of tell, I can kind of make sure that it is level with the top and bottom of that aperture. Okay, so now that part is straight. So now when I trim down the other sides, that should be fine too. So this is going to be a little bit less than an inch on that side. I'll go ahead and cut this down. No, I'm not going to cut it down too far yet. I want to make sure everything fits on the front first. And this side is a bit more than that, so I'm probably going to need to cut trim the right-hand side down a little bit more. Or it's just going to be a little off-center, and that's fine too. So now I'm going to put the base on. Get that lined up. Excuse me. And then we've got the little top. So our little gumball machine looks pretty cute. I just noticed that I didn't trim it enough on that side either. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish trimming down this piece. So it's going to be about 3/4 of an inch from the edge. Do the same on this side, so it's going to be about 3/4 of an inch from the edge. So now it's going to be centered, and it's just under 4 inches. So that means I can trim this to just under 5 1/4, and that should leave a nice white border around the outside when I put it on the card. Now, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of acetate to the back. Don't really need a whole lot. And this is just something out of my scrap bin. We want it to hold really well and stay in place though, so I'm going to use some double-sided tape to put it in place. I have to say that making a shaker card where the card is actually flat, so the shaker is basically housed behind the front of the card, makes it really nice to be able to Okay, I'm reading back over some of the comments. It's like, you're doing what? Anyway, doing it this way makes it a little easier to be able to mail, because it's flat, and that means it's not going to give you problems with the post office. Say Cordelia is making bookmarks. Okay, now I get what Karen said. I didn't catch it to begin with, so you're actually creating rolls of change. It's like, I'm at home so much, it's like I don't even remember the last time that I actually needed to use change. I don't even use cash anymore, to be honest. Okay, so now we've got that nice piece of acetate over there for the glass. And now I'm going to take a roll of foam tape. And I'm going to run it along the edges, because what I'm... Okay, my Google is... my phone is thinking I'm talking to it. Goodbye, Google. Because for some reason... I don't know if you guys can hear it, but in the background, my phone is talking to me. It's not supposed to. So now we've got it basically covered. We've got this is a nice, in my mind, this is a nice way to see a card because when you look at the side, it looks flat. So that's perfect. But now we have to make sure that the shaker bits stay where we want them to stay. So I'm going to bring another piece up, right up, but not so that you can see it, but right up to the edge there. And then I'm going to cut a couple of little triangles to make it into the corners. This also means that you don't have to use as much shaker bits. And yes, I need to put one more piece of foam across there too. And I have 1/4 inch, but that's still not going to be quite good enough. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do the shaker bits. Like I said, I'm going to just grab, mostly because we've already been on an hour and I only got the one card done because I messed up on the first round. But this die set comes with dies to be able to create your own little shaker bits. Plus, if you have any other dies that you think might work for you to do that, that would be perfect on this type of card too. Okay, so I think that's going to be enough, but I do have this extra tape here, so I might as well put it to use. I'm going to go ahead and just put that in the center so we don't get any kind of saggy middles. Now I'm going to go grab my shaker bits. Except of course I forgot where I put them. Okay, I was going to use some sequins as well, but instead I've got this, I think I got at Michael's a couple of years ago, that's got tons of little seed beads, and I've used this several times and I still have got a bunch of them in there. So for those colors, let's see, we've got some reds in this one. And what's neat is like it's got this little belly band to hold everything in place, and then these little guys just pop off. But you do have to be careful not to dump everything all over the place when you bring it off though. So we've got red there. And that one also has some navy blue. And this one has got some green. I think that's probably going to be enough. And my plan was to make some circles and hearts with, excuse me, with some Shrinky Dinks and go with that. And then of course it didn't want to work, so. So before I put those in there, I need to create my card base. Otherwise, I'm not going to have anything for it to stick to. So scoring at 4 1/4, flipping it over, and then just folding it flat. And this is just 110-pound Recollections cardstock. And I have a little metal scoop around here somewhere that I can get these beads out without making a humongous mess. And of course it's hiding from me, so I'm going to use this little spatula instead, and hopefully it'll work out. So what part of Texas are you going to be going to, Karen? Just out of curiosity. I'm going to put a little bit of baby blue in there, and then a little bit of green. That's probably more than I actually need, but that's okay. And a couple of the beads escaped, so let me grab them and put them in the card too. Actually, I think what I'm going to do, instead of putting it directly on here, is I'm going to put it on another piece of white cardstock so that I can trim that down and then reposition it onto the card, because I'm almost 100% positive that I would either get it crooked or all of my beads would go flying somewhere. And this is probably the hardest part with this, is getting the release paper off without losing all your bits, mostly because I get stuck to the tape. Like there. I'm trying not to jar it, and that almost always happens that I jar something. Or like this, where the just got some beads on the tape. Come on. Even just having one bead up there would cause it to not lay flat, and some of the beads would probably escape. Well, it looks like you guys have got are pretty much neighbors. That's kind of cool. My in-laws have a house near Austin. I grew up in Alabama and then moved to Florida because it was warmer and I didn't have to put up with the cold weather up there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this guy down. And this time I didn't really pay attention to whether or not it was straight. And it's actually pretty straight. But now we've got a cute little shaker there. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim off this excess cardstock. Actually leaving a little tiny bit of white around this too, so that kind of looks cool. Then I can put it on the front, but before I do that, I do want to stamp a sentiment, and this is going to be so cute. And I'll just use, actually, I'll use this piece of cardstock for that. So we've got several little ones that will fit in on this, basically in this circle, and then we can put that on the front of the gumball machine. So we've got I'll stick with you, I love you, be mine. I think I will go with the, and then there's a be mine. There's actually two be mines. This one is just the lines. This one is where it's kind of a squared font. So I think I'll do the I'll stick with you because I just think that's cute. And now I need to find a stamp block. And you guys are probably thinking, can't this woman get her stuff together? Come on. The gremlins keep taking all my stuff. I thought you would, Miss Gayla. I thought you'd like that. Okay, so we've got all of this in red, so I think I'm going to go with Rockin' Red for the sentiment as well. That looks cute. And then there's also in the stamp set a heart that'll fit right in that heart. So actually, instead of doing that, I'm just going to color it. We've got, I'm going to go with green. We've got a lot of blue and green, but I think I want to go with green for this one. And I'm going to pick one of my brighter ones. So I think LG3 will work. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay. And then all I need to do is die cut that out, and I think it fits. I told you that this has been one of those sets that's been sitting in my bins forever, and I hadn't gotten around to do anything with it, right? Okay, I do need some washi to try to keep that straight, because it does not have a lot of wiggle room there. It's definitely the gremlins. By the way, Miss Gayla, and this is for the rest of you guys too, just a kind of a sneak peek. What I'm planning on doing with your story is maybe starting something called story time and read it on a short video. So I am planning on posting that to my blog, but I thought that that would be fun to also do a little, yeah, just a little story time thing here on my channel. What do you think? So Beth is in South Carolina. Okay, so that looks like it's gonna be perfect. So let me go ahead and put a little adhesive on the back of that. And then all we need to do is put it on our card base. Okay, making sure that it actually opens the right direction. And does put a little bit of an edge on there. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit on the inside too. So this one says, "You're gumbelievable," and I just think that that is just too funny. So I'm gonna put that on the inside, and might as well go with rock and red and kind of stick with the red theme. Get that straight on my block. And then I think I'm gonna add a little heart to the back of that. So that turned out pretty cute. Now what I will try again later on is see if I can make some Shrinky Dink shaker bits. The little shaker bits that I made from another die set, it worked fine. I just think maybe I didn't do something right. But I did do a little bit more with the Shrinky Dinks when I did that, that last video. Like, I've got these cute little flowers. And I just colored these up with my alcohol markers, and it just intensified the color. I mean, look at how tiny that is. I'm sure that the hearts and circles in this would be smaller than that and would fit so well inside this little gumball machine. So I'll have to try that later and let you guys know how it turned out. But here's our finished card. I really like the way that that turned out, and I love that I was able to get the foiling done. I'm so excited. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go on with that. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you soon. As a reminder, I do have 2 more videos coming up this week. I've got a video for Dies R Us for their design team making... I'm going to go ahead and let you guys see it, where to put it. Making this card. So I'm making that one on Thursday. And then I've got another video coming up with another design team project for TaylorMade Carefree, making this one. So come on back, and I would love to see you guys on Thursday and Saturday. I will probably be doing a premiere on each of those. So I will check you out later. You guys have a wonderful evening.